I got a text message Tuesday I have to read to you. It's from a friend of mine who has cancer, who some of you know, my friend Mary. Wrote part of my review for your book while pretending I was not enclosed in PET scan. Rereading your book is as rewarding as my first read. Hope my review will do it justice. See doctor at 11:30. So your prayers for Mary are welcome, and I put in all caps, thank you, Mary. Praying hands, 3 exclamation points. What a true friend to ignore her cancer treatments, to write that, and also to write a wonderful review. If you'd like a copy of the book, you can get it wherever books are sold. It's called What She Said and What I Heard, How One Man Shut Up and Started Listening, and I hope you like it half as much as Mary did. Thanks so much.
And cops everywhere. Like, I remember, like, the knees in my back and the knees on my neck. And oh my God, like, I'm kind of shaking. It's been so long since I've talked about this.
What is the sound of one man listening? This is Man Listening, a fresh podcast featuring the stories of strong women who bounce back. Man Listening, because every woman deserves to be heard.
Hey there. Welcome to Man Listening. I'm Stuart Watson. I went on a road trip the last couple of weeks, right in the middle of COVID. I stayed safe, wore the mask, stayed away from people. Some of the hotels were ghost towns, but, didn't sit down and eat in restaurants, took takeout, etc. And I went all the way to Santa Monica, California and back, which is a much longer story, but along the way I stopped in Louisiana to talk to an old friend of mine who I'm going to let you hear from in just a moment. And you need to understand that this woman is loyal to the end, and her loyalty got her thrown in prison. And I think that's all I'll tell you about that, other than to say the best thing you can say about her is she is the most loyal person in the world, and that also ended up being a flaw, a terrible flaw for a horrible mistake, but it's a fascinating story. Not using a real name, I'll refer to her as she wishes, as DIxie Lee. Where were you born?
I was born on an Air Force base in Florida, right outside of Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
So hospital.
Hospital on the Air Force base, yeah.
So mother in the military, father in the military?
Both in the Air Force.
What should I know about your mother and father just to understand you?
I don't know. They're freaking awesome. I have no idea. I don't know.
You say are they both still with us?
No, my mom passed about 4 years ago now. And my dad's still here, retired, still lives in the same house I grew up in.
Do you stay in touch?
Which is about 5 minutes away.
Do you stay in touch with
Oh
him?
yeah, we talk all the time.
Oh, that's
if
wonderful.
not every day, every other day.
And were you close to your mom too?
Oh yeah, totally. I was definitely like daddy's little girl out of the two of us. But yeah, definitely close to my mom.
And do you stay in touch with your sister?
No.
Uh,
I don't know. I wish I had like a, this is why me and my sister don't talk, but I think my mom held us together as long as she did, and then once my mom passed, I think she figured there was no need to still, be my sister anymore. I don't know, that sounds so harsh when I say it out loud.
How much older?
18 months.
Oh.
So like 1 year apart in school.
Were you guys ever close growing up?
I guess I thought so, but I guess I was always still just an annoying little sister.
When you were 2 years old, how would they describe you?
Oh, I think I would say precocious.
What does that mean? How did that look?
Mischievous. Always putting my toe on the line and then pushing it and seeing how far I could go.
Yeah. And then fast forward to high school. So would test the boundaries, like of your parents.
Right, and everything. I would always question authority, and if something was done this way, I'd always want to know, like, why can't we do it that way?
Rule breaker?
Rule bender.
But right now, if a mall cop says, "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to," what's your visceral reaction?
Oh, now at this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ma'am, I'm going to need you
I think I would like dump my purse on the floor and spread eagle against the wall and do
really?
anything that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. What's up? What you need me to do? You need me to help you arrest somebody? I'm down. Like, what you need?
But in high school, were you different? Were you?
Yeah, I was like a little goth kid listening to Marilyn Manson and Nirvana. Like when I finally graduated from high school, I dyed my hair blue. Like that was like my present to myself. It was the only time in my entire life I've ever dyed my hair. I had one picture of me in my cap and gown with the blue hair, and I don't know if I still have it.
And when you look at that picture, how do you feel about that person? Do you feel like?
Oh, no, I think if you only knew.
If I only knew what?
No, I think if I would be looking at that girl in that picture in that cap and gown.
If she only knew what?
Oh, if she only knew, like, oh, God, what was ahead of her?
What happened at age?
18. When I was 18, I graduated from high school, and about a few weeks after that, I got arrested.
Yeah.
And I stayed there for a long time.
Stayed there.
I got arrested in 1998 when I was 18. A few weeks after that picture was taken of me with blue hair, and didn't come home again until 2005.
Wow. Yeah. Is there
25 years old.
Is there still some energy around that? Like, is there still, like, when you talk about that, is there still, does it bug you to talk about that?
It doesn't bug me to talk about it, but I don't talk about it a lot. It's funny that with you, it was like an open book from day one about it, but 90% of the people in my life today don't know that. Some of my best friends don't know that.
Yeah.
Like my best girlfriends that I've hung out with tonight that I see all the time, that I've been friends with for years, that came over to my house and decorated my apartment, on my birthday, don't know.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to tell them.
Because you don't think they'd understand? You think it would change the friendship?
I think yes. The answer to that is yes. And I think I've cultivated that over from the age 25 to now being 41. And everybody says it's not going to make a difference. Like it's not that big a deal. But there are people that totally believe that, and I totally believe that, and there are people that 100% it's not. It's different. The words convicted felon, like it's different. Yeah. Like, with the politics, and I'm not a good liar. I don't like lying. I really, really, if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Somebody famous said once. And it's true, and there are certain things that I have to lie about. Like when my friends ask me, like, oh, did you vote? I have to be like, yeah, of course I voted. And it's totally a lie. No, I didn't vote. I can't vote. I've never voted in my life. When I was 18, I did some stupid that, that's all gone.
Do you think of yourself as a completely different person?
In some ways, yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask you about it? Can I just ask some factual questions?
Totally.
Is that okay? What was the charge?
Attempted murder and armed robbery.
Okay. How many co-defendants were there?
3 total.
Did you plead?
Yes.
Did you testify against anyone?
No.
Okay. What were the circumstances of this? Were other people convicted of, like, did somebody die?
No, it was all the same charges.
Yeah.
We all got convicted of all the same charges.
What can you tell me about the circumstances? Like, what happened?
I think at that time, being 18 and young and dumb and running headfirst into everything, I thought I was doing the right thing. Not that it was the right thing, but it might have just been like the right thing on the street. The victim
Because it was vengeance, right? Like
Right,
it was
yeah.
revenge.
Like my friend was hurt really bad and lost a baby, and it was her man that beat her that way. And I thought, like, screw him. We're going to go kick his ass and take all your stuff out of his apartment. You know, like, screw him. And I can't believe he did this to you.
Your friend was how old?
I was 18. She was probably 16 or 17.
And she was
kind of lived on the streets-ish. Like, I knew her, but, like, we didn't go to high school together, so it's not like I knew her. And especially at that age, it's the summer after my senior year of high school.
And she was how much pregnant?
I don't remember.
But she miscarried. He beat
Right,
her.
like she said she lost the baby.
Was this the father of the child?
Yes. I want to say it was her husband, or maybe at the time I thought it was her husband. I don't know if in real life, legally, it was her husband.
Everybody knows teenagers who there's so much drama, there's so much energy. And so this is somebody who's not even your best friend, but you get like just completely outraged that this happened. And
against any, like, and I've always been like that, like against anything I think that's, you know, I'd be the person that's going to be on What Would You Do? You know, that TV show?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to stand up and say something. I'm going to be the person that's like, hey, this isn't right. Like, I heard something, you know, you shouldn't do that.
Especially if someone is
being wronged.
And they're kind of defenseless, they're weak.
Right, or can't defend themselves, and yeah.
So here you have a woman who's probably younger than this guy.
Oh yeah, he was in his 20s, I think.
And she's mid-teens.
Yeah.
And he's a lot stronger than her, and he's one of these violent men.
Mm-hmm.
And he was beating her. Mm-hmm. And he beat her so badly that she miscarried.
Right.
And so
like put her out. Like we just, I'm remembering, like, we just like happened to pawn her. Because at this time, this is the 90s. We don't have cell phones. We don't, you know.
Oh, so you saw her shortly after she was...
Right, like put out of her apartment, like a week or so. Like I don't remember how much later.
Like how did you come upon her?
Like walking through, there's a little...
Neighborhood?
Yeah, neighborhood that, you know, where all the little bars and all the little hangouts are that you just kind of you walk the little strip, you know, and see your friends, because that's how you knew where people were back then.
So you came upon her and he had like thrown all her shit out and everything?
No, like she was all bruised up.
Oh.
And I think like we got the story, and then I was like, I'll go get your stuff. Like what do you mean he put you out without your stuff, girl? I'll go get your stuff. Like that's blah, blah, blah. That's messed up. He shouldn't do that, you know? And my boyfriend at the time, you should kick his ass. Like, this ain't right what he did to her.
And your boyfriend was how much older than you?
Pretty sure we were the same age.
Okay.
He like might have been a few months older than me.
Yeah. And then, so the co-defendants were friends of yours.
Right.
Like your boyfriend at the time.
One guy drove us there.
Yeah.
We got out, went into this apartment, kicked this guy's ass, took mostly what we thought was her stuff.
Now, when you say kicked his ass, did you take a baseball bat? Did you...
I think he did hit him with some kind of blunt object. It might have been like a pipe, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bat.
Yeah. And how about you? What was your role?
I helped.
So did you hit him with a pipe, or did you...
I didn't hit him with anything.
Your fists?
I held him.
That was your role?
Mm-hmm. I was physically involved.
Yeah. And so you're technically a minor?
No, not at all.
You were 18.
I was 18.
Okay. So this was... Now, was this a big deal in the newspapers, on the TV, or was it...
My friend at the time, my high school best friend, like the one time I ever talked to her, because somehow I talked to her and got her to go to the house where I was living and like get my caboodle. Remember what a caboodle is?
No.
It was like every girl in the 90s had a caboodle. It's just like a little storage box thing that every girl had. And like get my caboodle, and I didn't own crap. I was 18, you know, living in this house, in a room in a house. So
you'd already moved out.
oh yeah, I had been moved out.
Now, why was that?
Young and dumb, wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do
So you've
it.
gotten a blow up with...
Mom and Dad.
And where was your sister on that? Was she like...
Couldn't even tell you if she knew I was there or not.
So she'd already kind of checked out by then.
Like, I knew we weren't friends by then.
Yeah. But was she like, Mom, you should throw her out, or...
I don't know. See, I would want to hope that she didn't. Because there was one time after I moved out, she helped me sneak back in and get, like, clothes.
But that's the kind of thing it sounds like, that when you have teenage girls, which I've had, that you go through this period in which you're not so cool. This is not Daddy's little girl anymore. She's establishing her own identity. And then they come back, then you become closer at certain points in your life, something like that. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's all good.
I'm talking. So how badly was this person hurt?
Bad enough to where I think, I don't know if it was like a scare tactic or what, but one of the detectives told me like that he would probably die. He was stabbed too.
Did you stab him or somebody else? Or you don't want to say? You don't want to talk about that? That's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not here to...
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to kill him?
No.
Yeah. So it's not like you slit his throat?
I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. I get you. Okay. There's still some things, suffice it to say, that it's hard to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And did you think you'd get caught? Or was this...
No.
You did
Not even really a little bit.
You didn't?
No, and I like, I knew this guy. He knew my name. Like, I thinking, like, eye for an eye, bro. Like, this...
Like you knew you had it coming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this girl's like, you killed your own baby. Like, what the fuck? And, like, this girl's living on the streets now or something. I think she was, like, couch surfing. But I remember thinking I was in the right.
Yeah. This very much sounds like if you were to see it in a movie, that it would be this kind of vigilante...
Justice. Yeah.
Revenge.
Yeah.
This is some Liam Neeson shit. Only on the streets.
Right.
Yeah. And so, right after you guys were done with this, you're all jacked up. Were you high? Were you drinking?
No.
So you
wasn't
weren't
drinking or really on drugs. I mean...
But you got all this adrenaline going because you beat the shit out of this guy.
I don't even remember if it was like that. I remember, like, carrying out her stuff and feeling vindicated, like...
And is he just lying there?
Yeah.
And so you guys beat the shit out of him with a pipe. This guy cut him, and then you just walk out.
He cut him after I left.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's not like you were holding him while the guy cut him.
Yeah, no.
You were like carrying shit out.
Like going, getting her. Obviously, these are girl clothes,
Yeah. And so you didn't take his shit.
It ended up being some of his shit, which I was not half-ass aware of, half-ass didn't
Hence
care.
The robbery.
Really didn't care if it was his shit, whatever it was. I gave it to her.
Right.
I wasn't. I didn't fit in her clothes,
Yeah, justice.
Yeah.
It wasn't for you.
Right.
Okay, so you were shocked. How long was it before the cops
Like
come?
3 or 4 days. Maybe 3 days.
And what happened?
Another friend of ours came and knocked on my door and said his girlfriend's car had broken down a block away, come help him push it. And I was in my pajamas, and I said, okay. And hollered back for the guy, like, hey, so-and-so's car broke down. I'm gonna go push it. And he's like, no, he has to come help. And I'm like, me and you can push it? Like, and it was like, we had a stoop, so it was like 3 or 4 steps to go down. And I went down the steps, and he just took off running. And I was like, all right, bro, I ain't running to go push the girls, like full out sprint and run. Like, is she blocking traffic? Like, whatever. And I was walking down the driveway thinking, should I be out here in my pajamas? And cops everywhere.
Set you up.
And I guess to come out the house. And I remember laying there thinking, y'all could have just came and knocked. Like, one guy could have just came and knocked on the door, and I'd have been like, yeah, that's me. Like, y'all looking for me? Like, I didn't know y'all were looking for me. Like, oh, he's got a problem? All right. Like, really, it didn't. Like, I remember, like, the knees in my back and the knees on my neck. And, oh, my God, like, I'm kind of shaking. It's been so long since I've talked about this. But, like, really, like, seriously, bro, one guy in a uniform. Y'all could have came and picked me up. Like, you need all this? All this? Oh.
And so where did they
My mama's going to hear about this? Oh, yeah.
Where did they take you?
To a detective, room, windowless room.
And start asking you questions?
Oh, yeah. And of course, I'm like, yeah, I did it. Yeah, okay. I was so naive and so stupid. I tried to plead guilty at my arraignment. Literally tried. They, like, told me I couldn't do that. And I was like, why? Like, I know I did it. Like, I ain't trying to.
You didn't say, did you say, yeah, the guy deserved it?
Yeah, 100%. I'm surprised he called y'all.
Yeah.
And they said he didn't. The hospital did. I was like, all right. And he never showed up for anything. He never showed up for a court date. I never read a statement he wrote.
Was there lifelong damage done to this
No.
kid? No?
No.
So he wasn't, like, put in a nursing home?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Interesting.
Never seen him to this day. Don't know if I could pick him out of a lineup, to tell you the truth.
Do you think he's still alive?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, his lifestyle, God only knows,
Right. Yeah.
And that was
One thing
1998, though.
One thing I found, so that's over 20 years ago. One thing I found in 32 years of being a local TV news reporter is the difference in the quote-unquote victim and the quote-unquote villain could just be a matter of time. Like, did you ever say to yourself, where were you guys when this girl was getting the shit beat out of her?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say that to them?
No. To the police?
Right.
No.
But you said it to yourself.
No, I don't know. I don't know. Like, something had to be done. If y'all weren't going to do it, somebody had to do it.
Yeah, in some, like, cultures, you can imagine, like, if there's a mafia culture or if there's a gang culture, if there's something outside of a system of justice, that this is the kind of thing that would happen. Like, if it were the Wild West, this is some kind of Wild West shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And stupid and ridiculous, and of course, go back and change it 100 times over.
Do you think you'd be saying that if nobody had ever done anything, if you'd never been arrested? You think you would have even thought about it?
Probably not.
You just moved on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of a phase kind of a thing. Yeah. And there are probably plenty of people where that does happen, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you, so did you bond out?
Oh, good God, no.
So you
it's very far and few between, even with all these TV shows that they have now, that I've seen a bond higher than mine.
How much was your bond?
$575,000.
And so cash would have been $57,000, $60,000.
Mm-hmm.
And did you say, Mom?
I didn't even ask anybody.
You didn't?
No.
Had you ever been to jail before?
No.
A juvenile?
No.
Had you ever been arrested?
We had spray painted the school for like homecoming and gotten like arrested. Not so much, they like brought us home. We were all like juniors. It was like senior week or some crap, and
What did
got
you
caught
spray
on
on the
school
school?
ground. Class of 97. And gotten caught, and they brought us home. So I don't know if that was like technically arrested, but never like brought to never seen the inside of a jail cell. I remember the first time I sat in that cell for 2 or 3 days before, when watching everybody else pick up the phone and like call people, and there was like a piece of paper on the wall with like bail bondsmen's phone numbers and stuff, and I wasn't doing any of that. And then finally, like, I might have ended up being alone for a minute, because you weren't alone a lot, and I picked up the phone and dialed like the bail bonds number that was like free, like it, it's like an advertisement. And the dude was like, "Oh my God, where have you been? Why haven't you called?" And I'm like, "Why?" Because the guy that I'd gotten arrested with had obviously done this before and knew that's what you're supposed to do. I didn't know that. I'm fresh out of high school, fresh off the, off the field, like I don't know how this works.
That first night in jail, were you able to sleep?
I don't remember my first night. I just remember my last night.
Were you able to sleep your last night?
No.
Because you were
I was ready to go. And I was pissed
So-
off because they kind of bounced me around a little bit from prison to prison every couple of years. And then they sent me way up fucking north, like to the goddamn border, like the state border, 5+ hours away. And that wasn't the kind of facility that released you at 12:01. You had to wait till like 6 o'clock in the morning. Ooh, I was pissed. 6 hours were mine. They took it. I was upset.
Was that last 6 hours?
Yeah, I was mad.
Who picked you up?
My mom and dad.
So had they come and visited?
Yes.
There are a number of parents who are just like, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like that they never abandoned you.
No, I don't think so.
Were they there in court?
Yes.
But did they hire a lawyer?
No.
Did they have the money to hire a lawyer?
I don't think so.
Did you expect them to hire?
No.
Yeah.
And I did not know then, again, 18 years old, they're like they're going to give me a lawyer. Like you hear it on every TV show and every cop says it. You can't get one, we'll give you one. Oh, okay, well, they're going to give me one. Why do I need to get one myself? Why should I pay money for one when they're going to give me one for free?
And what was the lawyer that you got?
Oh, horrific. I had like 10 of them. Because it went on so long.
Public defenders, right?
Oh, yeah.
But those guys, you gotta say they're asking themselves,
Oh, yeah, it was.
what the hell are we gonna do? You just sat there and blabbed, like they Mirandized you, I'm sure, and you
Oh, I'm
just said
sure.
fine.
Oh, yeah, they had me believing dumb shit. Like, but again, I was dumb. I'm sure they said all the right things that legally they're supposed to say, but they also said some things that had me believing all kinds of stuff.
Like
the detectives determined how much time you would serve.
no,
I never saw that detective again.
right?
Never, ever again.
Yeah,
So they did say all those things that now, as an adult, I comprehend.
yeah, that they can lie to you.
Right, but they also said a lot of other things
Yeah,
that had me believing, like, oh, okay, well, they knew I was a good person. What they knew that he deserved it. They said all these, like, totally had me wrapped.
yeah. And So when did it hit you? Oh, shit. I'm going to be doing really serious time.
I remember first time walking into what they called the law library in the parish facility, parish jail. Literally, it was like a walk-in closet. I think my walk-in closet might be bigger now than that law library was. And there was a piece of paper on the wall. It said minimum, maximum. And it was all like they had just some new law or something where if you got convicted of something, there was a minimum that you had to do.
Mandatory minimum sentence.
Mandatory minimum.
By state law.
First one, armed robbery, 5 to 99. So if I got convicted of armed robbery, there was no way I was doing less than 5 years. And there was no way they was coming up off that armed robbery.
Did they drop the attempted murder?
Down to attempted manslaughter. But I didn't give a shit about that. It didn't matter. It didn't make or break me. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
So
And
they gave me 8.
8 years.
I did 7.
Wow.
I did 6 years, 10 months, and 15 days. Plus those 6 hours them bitches took.
And so when you get in prison in the state of Louisiana, it's kind of a notorious place.
Well, more for the men's prisons than the women's. Not that LCIW, nothing, not knocking how crazy LCIW is, which is the main prison for women. But they bounced me around to a bunch of privately owned satellite prisons, which literally are old elementary schools that they like throw a bunch of beds in.
And put a bunch of razor wire around it.
Yeah. Literally old elementary schools.
What surprised you most about the women you were in prison with? Like what you see on Orange is the New Black as opposed to...
You know what? I've never seen that.
But I mean, what you see on television as opposed to... Like, I'll just ask it this way. Were you afraid for your safety? Were you afraid you were going to be killed in prison?
Well, I was in jail for so long that I kind of got the routine of it. Because I was in jail for 13 months before they sent me anywhere.
There's a big difference between jail and prison.
Oh, yeah, there's a big difference.
And that difference is?
I had been in jail for 13 months. So all the other girls that had rolled through my jail that had gotten sentenced to 3 years, 6 months, 9, whatever, however, once I got wherever I was going, I knew a bunch of people already, which helped a lot. But I don't know, it was like, I hate to say it was like going to college because that's what I call it now. And, you know, company that, you know, if I say anything, it's like, oh, I'm talking about college or...
Yeah, that was code.
Back in college, right.
Like when I talk to you, you say, I was away at college then.
Right.
And so that's...
Because the age frame fits.
6 years of being at college, in quotes.
6 years, 10 months, 15 days. Yeah.
That was certainly an education.
Right. But, you know, without the degree.
Yeah.
Learned a lot. I mean, but at that age, like, you gotta, I don't know, I feel like if I couldn't do it now at this age. There's no way. But at that age, thinking still that I'm young, dumb, and naive, and still thinking I run shit.
Yeah.
At 19 now, rolling into prison, trying to run shit. Little white girl.
But by the same token, I remember you met one woman in particular that you guys are friends for life.
I met a couple of them.
That they would be there for you
no
100%. Matter what.
One of them sadly has passed away.
I'm sorry.
Jennifer, who was like ride or die. Another one, I have her initials tattooed on my thumb, and she has my initials tattooed on her thumb.
Did you do that inside? Is there
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
That's why I wear this
ring. Did you
ring.
have to pay for that in, like, cigarettes or
Actually,
something?
I did a girl's nails.
That
and
was
she
like-
did the tattoos. It was
a
like we did it in
barter-
trade,
It
yeah.
was a barter system.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
it's a wonder you didn't
as a
get
matter of
blood
fact-
poisoning.
Right. This girl who I have tattooed on my thumb, she had life. She was in there for murder. She was never getting out. She didn't have a date. And about 2 years ago, she got out.
Now, did she kill a man?
No,
Oh, she didn't.
no. Her and someone else killed an elderly woman.
And again,
But
didn't
she
intend
was-
to kill the woman.
And she was
Or
like,
did she?
I think she was like not in the room, knew that the boyfriend at the time was going to rob the woman, didn't know he was going to kill the woman, wasn't there when he did it, but was in the house, and she was 16, and they charged her as an adult and gave her life at 16 years old, and now at 39.
Was she under the influence of drugs?
I want to say no.
They're just robbing this old woman to rob her?
Yeah,
Wow. So
if memory serves.
not much mitigating circumstances, they say. You
No, except for the fact that she was
can't- 16 and
16, like a week into her 16th birthday, like 15 plus.
well, suffice it to say, they're still not boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh no, I don't think she's ever had any contact with him.
Yeah. I'm sensing there are older men who are not good for young women.
Yeah.
And that it kind of gets to what I wanted to ask you about, because I think that your experience is so rich, even though it doesn't feel that way. There just ought to be some way that you can go into middle schools or high schools and say, please don't do this. Do you think it would? I mean, because there have been programs, you know, I'm not talking about Scared Straight. I'm really just talking about, can I just tell you something from my experience, you know? Totally not worth it to get involved in all this crazy retribution stuff.
That wouldn't even be the thing that I would want to speak on.
What would you want to say?
Because
What would
I
you
feel
wanna
like
say?
I've gotten that lecture.
What would you want to say?
That if people mess up and do dumb things, they're still people. They're still the same people.
Still your daughter, still your sister, still your friend. She just made a terrible mistake. Still fundamentally a good person.
Still, yeah.
Because this flip side of what you're talking about, like, I think of you as an intensely loyal person.
Thank you. I believe that as well.
Like, I'm your friend.
Absolutely.
I'm your friend.
And at this point in life, I'd probably take a bullet for you, but I wouldn't shoot somebody for you.
Well, I wouldn't ask you. I
Exactly.
would not ask you. As a matter of fact, I would ask you not to. But, you know, but going back to this woman who is alive, you know, what was it about your experience in prison with this particular person that had you guys putting tattoos on each other's thumbs?
I think it was our age. I think I was 19, she was 20. We were probably by far the youngest.
Were you cellies?
No, we weren't even on the same dorm for years and years.
Well, how'd y'all meet?
Probably just out on the yard and being white. That was
That put you in a minority?
absolutely
Yeah.
young, white, obviously like middle class, not, you know, I don't have face tattoos or, you know, anything, relatively normal kid in prison.
Yeah.
And
And did somebody come up to you and say, listen, you're going to need to understand certain things about the way this thing runs?
no,
They didn't.
no, there was not a whole lot of helpful hints along the way.
So, and also, did you have to, well, in men's prisons, there's a big thing about gangs that you have to identify in certain camps. You have to identify with certain people because you don't want to be the odd one out.
No, I think that's more men's prisons, or at least that was just my experience.
Or
it
certain
was not.
camps, certain.
You could tell there were cliques of people, cliques of girls that liked each other, that hung out together, but not like all the Spanish girls are all together. Like
all
if,
the black
yeah,
women,
no, not like that.
Yeah. You didn't have to be an Aryan. An Aryan nation.
Good
Didn't
God.
have to pledge.
I didn't have to shave my head. I did. I didn't have to.
You did shave your head?
I pretty much shaved my head when I was 21. I think it was on my 21st birthday. It was
What was
just
that about?
I had already cut it pretty short, and it was just there was no need for it, and it was gonna be. I had years to let it grow, and I had not enough money to buy shampoo and conditioner on commissary.
I gotta ask this. I gotta ask
What?
it. Do you have to say you like women? Do you have to be gay for this day at a certain point? Or?
There was a lot more that did that didn't.
Right.
Wait, to say that right? Yeah, like a lot more that you could tell were
Because
gay for the stay.
Is it go along to get along? Is it to get
I think
something?
it's more so like somebody has your back. Like that's always what I looked at it as. Like I never had sex in prison, but me and Christy, the girl that's tattooed on my hand, and another girl that until the day she died, on my necklace right now is a charm that she gave me that's like best friends, and you break it in half, and like when you're 10. But she gave it to me, when we were 30, but I still wear it to this day. But I feel like it was about companionship and knowing somebody had your back.
When you and I met today, it'll upset some people, but we hugged,
Mm-hmm.
because some people say COVID and
Right.
everything else. My doctor hugs me, okay? Because obviously he's a very dear friend, and you are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not sitting right next to you,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a way of having physical contact in prison. Can you hug your best friend in prison?
For the most part, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't want to see you walking around holding hands. Or definitely not kissing. You'd get written up for that. But for the most part, they wouldn't, only certain ones would be jackasses about it. Like coming and sneaking around the corner in the bathroom when two girls are probably out there making out,
Yeah.
There's this one. Her name was Azarine. She was an assistant warden. She used to come in pissy drunk, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, turning on all the lights, like wanting to do like roll call for no friggin' reason whatsoever, just because she's drunk and like lost at the casino.
Power trip.
Right, and it was horrible. And while I was still locked up, she got arrested for some kind of massive fraud, and ended up going to LCIW, which is the biggest penitentiary for women in the state, and did a couple of years, because Christy, the girl that's on my thumb, was there the same time she was. And I'm just thinking like, oh my God, people had to have like messed with her. Like, people from back then, but my friend said there wasn't that many people there that were there at the time when she was an assistant warden. Like, I'm telling you, they would let anybody work at these prisons. Anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a friend who grew up between the lakes in Kentucky, and there's a big Kentucky prison there.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to say in high school, they'd say, half the people are going to work at the prison, the other half are going to be inside.
That's exactly what these little towns are. Exactly.
And the distinction between those people who are working is everybody's doing time.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do time as a young person? How do you wrap your head around that?
Day by day. You get into the monotony of the days, the meal time, the roll call, the nighttime, the lights out. You get into the monotony of the day, the mail call. The mail call. And you just look forward to that next thing that's only going to be a couple hours away.
When you say, the mail call, why is that an ugh?
Because that was like the most look forward to thing every day.
Did you get much mail?
I got a lot of mail.
From?
Boys.
Ah.
But like, you know, I'd get a letter from my dad like every other week. Letter from my mom probably once a month because my mom would write novels. But
Did your sister ever write you?
she came and visited me. She would send me magazines after she would read a magazine and like cut her dress off, like we could get magazines. So she would mail me like a big envelope with like 10 magazines in it. And that was awesome.
You've bound to have encountered people there who, I had a defense attorney tell me once, a murder is just an assault in which someone dies.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've bound to thought, holy cow, these people were in the same circumstance as me and the person died. And if I'm doing...
That's exactly what I thought about my friend that had life. That's exactly what I would think. 100%. I would definitely have letters instead of numbers for a release date if this guy died, which very, very easily could have.
The thing that strikes me is that, well, there's an old saying, a conservative is just a liberal who's been mugged.
Okay.
And a liberal is just a conservative who's been to prison.
Yeah.
Because how you feel about something. So, for instance, your loyalty, the sense of loyalty that you have, we think of loyalty as being a really, really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you instantly were loyal to this girl. She wasn't even a woman.
Mm-hmm.
When it was like, there's a character on The Wire who says, there you go, giving a fuck when it wasn't your turn to give a fuck. It was like you were giving a fuck when it really wasn't your turn to give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden you went 0 to 60 on this guy,
Mm-hmm.
when it really wasn't, it's not your fight.
Right.
It's like all of a sudden you jump in the middle of this shit.
Oh, yeah. Volunteered. Got a ride. Drug some other poor guy into this. Who ended up doing time, too.
It's just, you gotta
The other
laugh.
guy's still in there.
I mean, you gotta laugh because it's just fucking tragic.
Oh, yeah. I've got a... it's kind of off topic, but I have a friend that recently got a DUI.
Yeah.
And spent 12, like a good friend, just spent 12 hours in like the holding tank.
Oh, the lockup.
She thinks she is G. She thinks she is so hardcore. It's hilarious. Me having to like, it's not like I have to bite my tongue because it's not even like I want to say it, but it's so funny listening to her like kind of tell stories about her time in jail and how you're like, oh, the food and oh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
And like if there would have ever been a moment for me to like just be like, stop it, just spend 7 years in prison. Like I don't want to hear it anymore. That would have been the day.
Yeah.
It would have been funny.
Have you ever wanted to go visit women in prison, either to tutor or to minister?
If anything, I would like bring them Taco Bell and McDoubles. Like, I would want to do that. I would want to like, a lot of people along the way helped me. I was on a lot of road crews. I mean, they worked the shit out of me. And I worked hard. God, I don't know why. I worked hard for the crews I was on. We cut grass and would go to churches and clean the churches and all this stuff. Go to lots and lots and lots of cemeteries and cut grass and clean and stuff like that. But I would like to go back to some of the cemeteries I used to cut, like some of the churches I used to clean, because I did that for years and years. And like, you know, some of the people we worked side by side with people that treated us like people. And they had some people that would literally run across the street, get out of the way, craziness when you saw them uniforms. And like, even if it was me by myself, little white girl, that uniform, that orange, people would like snatch their children.
What did that feel like when they did that?
Like, you don't know me. Even though what I did was like a horrifically gruesome crime, I could have wrote a bad check. Like, I could have shoplifted some hamburger helper. Like, you don't know.
So how did you stay out? How have you been able to...
Oh, I never once even questioned the recidivism. Was that what they call it?
Right.
Never once. My PO told me I was the best parolee she had ever had. I would call her all the time. Like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Like, that's like, I'm out now. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm going to do everything I'm supposed to do. I'm going to dot every I and cross every T. And, oh, yeah, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need?
But knowing that you're capable of, like, most people say, well, I'm sure in the extreme I would be capable of killing someone. You know, like some people say, all men are rapists, you know.
Because you have the capability.
Right, and some people say, no, I would never be a rapist. There's a big debate, for instance, over whether people will do something in a blackout that they would never do.
Yeah.
Like, would I be a rapist in a blackout if I'm not a rapist stone cold sober?
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. But what I'm getting at is, I don't know what the hell I'm getting at.
No, that I have the capability.
Yeah.
But I think I know the answer to what you're trying to ask.
What is that answer?
I always knew I did have that capability. I never once thought, you know, like if it came down to it, I've always been scrappy. Like do you remember the, was it the lifeboat game? Some game we played.
Yeah. Stand up for your own life.
Right. And a couple of people gave me their lives just because I said, I don't want to die. Like, just because I stepped up first and was like, hey, if anybody needs a reason, I'd like to stay. And I ended up, you know, one of 3 people living. And it mostly was just because I was like, hey, me. I'm me right here. I don't want to go. I'm going to stay. I don't know, so I feel like...
well, the flip side is, you've probably said to yourself many times, I don't want to kill anyone. Like, I don't want to get in a situation where I'm so angry at somebody that, like, do you have to check yourself before you wreck yourself?
No, I don't think so. I think there have been times when I was in prison that I thought, if it's me or her, it's going to be her.
That's survival.
Right. But no, I don't think I would. No. I don't think I would have to, like, reel in a beast or something.
And so here's what I was getting at. The real low point of your loyal to a fault was you getting involved with this young woman and thinking that revenge was the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you, and the super high point of that was you were there for your mother when she died.
Yep, thank goodness.
What happened there? She had cancer, right?
She had cancer.
And you were out.
Yes, I was home for years. Yes, we were BFF. I called her every day when I got off of work because my entire life, up until she stopped working because of the cancer, she worked the night shift. And so did my dad. So calling, and because I don't usually get off work till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, would call her every night when I got off work. And just one day she was sick. And she had to go to the doctor. And just her admitting that she had to go to the doctor was, suspicious. And then she lied and, told us she had cancer, at least. But told us it was nothing, don't worry about it. Do some chemo, knock it right out. Everybody's got this kind of cancer. It's not that big a deal. I'm going to be fine. Which was all lies. And which is another reason I think my sister thinks that I knew everything and that I held it from her, that I somehow didn't tell her how sick Mom really was, which I had no idea. My dad didn't even know. Mom didn't tell my dad. She was in the medical field. She was a nurse, her entire adult life. She didn't want us to know, and it was probably weeks before she passed, before her doctor sat me down and told me everything that was really going on. That it was, now we're talking about quality of life over quantity of life. That's the quote the doctor used when I'm still thinking, Mom will be all right by next Mardi Gras. This will be fine. She's just not going to go to any parades this year. And it was weeks later that she passed. She was in hospice 10, 12 days later.
But there are some kids who can't be there for their parents. They can't watch that. They just can't.
She had a colostomy bag towards the end, and I had no problem changing that. I've never changed a diaper in my life to this day, and I had no problem. It got all over the bed, got all over the sheets, got all over her. I don't care. Let me help you. I'm sure she did it for me 1,000, million, trillion, billion times. Yeah, not even a question.
And I find that really admirable.
I couldn't even fathom not doing it.
Even though you moved out of the house and you guys had your moments there, she and your dad were always there for you.
Yes.
Even when
I was young and dumb and thinking I was right.
At your worst.
Yes.
Yeah. At your lowest.
And I moved 5 minutes away from the house.
Yeah. Well, I admire you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't, of course, admire everything you've done, but, I respect
Neither
you
do I.
as a person. And, yeah, it is something we all could learn from, that we think when we see people in orange jumpsuits, oh, that would never be me.
Oh, yeah. That'll never be me on the side of the road picking up trash. My best friends would tell you that wasn't me on the side of the road picking up trash, and that was me for years. Loving every minute of it.
Yeah.
Because we got $1 or something, or they'd give us a hamburger, or, they'd let us go through the rummage sale for the church and pick out new tennis shoes, new tennis shoes to us, of course, which was amazing and awesome. And yeah, I'll work 5 hours out in the heat, pushing a lawnmower, sure. Anything.
Yeah.
It was my job. I thought that was my job. I had only had one job before that, and it was at Subway, as a part-time. This is when we still, way back in the day, when they still cut the bread different.
This business of judging people, that's really kind of the definition of white privilege to me, is people who think that they couldn't be in prison, that
Right.
They're above it, that there's no way that they could ever be roped into anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, there's really not a whole lot of difference between the people who are in prison and the people who are out of prison.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't think they should open the doors. Some of them girls belong in there.
Right.
I think at the time I belonged in there. I did what they said I did, and they sure didn't need to give me that much time. But I deserved it, and some of them girls really deserved it. Some of them girls deserved it.
Yeah. But by the same token, there's a place for understanding this person as a human being.
Oh yeah, a lot of people that worked there didn't understand that.
And
I feel like it's probably, I can't believe I'm gonna say it out loud, but I'm gonna say it. Some of them women, if I saw them today, I might spit in their face. And go, and that'll be my first ride back in the paddy wagon. And I'd be like, it was worth it.
Yeah.
I could do 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because, man, some of them were just horrid.
Yeah. just...
And I didn't know how adult women, because I don't know if I was even adult until after I came, until I was closer to coming home. But how some of, I guess as a kid, I'm 18, I'm still used to teachers telling me what to do, or my parents telling me what to do. I can't imagine an adult being talked to the way I remember being talked to, having to hold your tongue and not, just I couldn't imagine now having someone talk to me the way I remember them talking to them women and me back then.
Yeah.
Just definitely less than, talked down to, disrespected.
Yeah. Well, it's all a matter of respect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you
for the lessons you learned from college.
Yes.
Sharing some of those. I appreciate it. I love you.
I love you. It's fun seeing you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. I recorded that interview after midnight at the swimming pool in the apartment complex. It had just been raining and we're sitting outside by the swimming pool. You can probably hear some things in the background wondering where the heck was that. I really so respect the person DIxie Lee has become, and I appreciate her time. Thanks so much.
Man Listening is a production of Unmediated LLC in cooperation with the Queen City Podcast Network and Balto Creative Media. Allison Andrews at Andrews Creative and Rachel Clapp-Miller are developmental producers. Sally Higgins at Higgins & Owens tries to keep us legal. Our music is A Day at the Park by the group Pictures of the Floating World. Your announcer is Catherine Smith. That's me. Please go to our Patreon page. You'll find us at patreon.com. Look for Man Listening, one word, no spaces. We hope you'll join us by becoming a member. A small investment can raise up the conversation. If you want exclusive member merch, like a t-shirt, we can arrange that too.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who supported Man Listening from the very beginning, from the podcast to the book to whatever is next. Man Listening is becoming a media brand, and I super appreciate you guys who were there from the start. I will never forget you. Thanks.
Don't forget to support us at Patreon. We believe one voice can change the conversation. Click the subscribe button, and next week you'll hear.
My students used to say, this is what white students used to say when I taught the slave narrative. Well, I don't feel comfortable with this. And I go, excuse me, do you think the world care about your level of comfort?
That's next week on Man Listening. Thanks.